everybody, and welcome back to the TNA review for June 5th, 2014. Tonight's show was pretty interesting. I'm kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. Like, it was a good show, it was a decent show. At some points, it was a subpar show, but overall, it wasn't a bad show by any means. So, I'm going to give this review one thumb up, not two, but I'm going to give it one, and I'm going to explain why in a second. So, first, we have our opening segment, which is Money, Power, Respect. They are looking for Samoa Joe backstage because of what happened last week. They pretty much want some payback for what he did. Joe, of course, being the fighting guy that he is, made it simple for them and was like, hey, you know what? I'm right here. Just come get me. Come down to the ring and see me. So Money, Power, Respect, of course, come out to the ring and they confront Samoa Joe. They don't actually attack him like I thought they were going to do initially. They were kind of hearing him out. And Joe's pretty much telling MVP, he cuts a promo and says, we trusted you. I vouched for you. I thought you were going to like lead this company to the promised land, but instead you're a tyrant. You know what I mean? You're ruining this business. You know what I mean? So MVP, of course, tells him, hey, you know what? I gave you everything you wanted and you couldn't handle it. You dipped. So, some back and forth talking, some smack talk between all of them. Ends up to Samoa Joe challenging all three members of Money, Power, Respect. Of course, MVP, being ecstatic at the idea, agrees. But Aries' music plays, and he actually comes out and confronts Money, Power, Respect, and tells them, you guys are always trying to stack the numbers against people, and you don't want to wrestle unless it benefits you and whatnot. So, of course, MVP, being the power-hungry boss that he is at the moment, tells him, you know what? You guys are so eager for competition. Why don't you fight each other? You know what I mean? And let's make it a little crazy. The winner of the match gets a full TNA contract, and the loser disappears into obscurity and goes home. So, of course, none of them are happy about that idea, but they had to do what they had to do, right? Because they got to listen to the boss, even if he's evil. So, that segment finishes, and we now have a match scheduled for Samoa Joe versus Aries for their jobs. After that, everybody leaves the ring. Our second segment is backstage with Bram and Magnus, of course, in their signature locker room where they have all their discussions. Magnus pretty much tells him, you've never fought anyone like Willow tonight, so you better be prepared and come with your A game. And Bram tells him, that's what your problem is. You used to be the TNA World Champion. You were the man. You were ruthless. And now look at you, standing here as a shell of your former self. So, he leaves to go fight Willow, and Magnus stays in the back contemplating what had actually happened. So after that, we have our first match of the night, which is Bram versus Willow. So this match is it's pretty much one-sided. Willow is pretty much owning him almost the entire match. Now, Bram, of course, being the bad guy that he is, does get the better of him at certain points during the match by fighting dirty. Jeff Hardy, just great, man. He always brings his A game. The crowd was really hot for this match. You know what I mean? They were just like, Willow, Willow, this whole match. And you even got a couple of Bram chants out there. So anyway, decent match overall. There is no real winner because, of course, there is interference. So Magnus actually comes out and pretty much tries to stop Bram from using that weapon that he brought into the ring. And Magnus actually takes the weapon and starts beating up Jeff Hardy. Like, he just starts wailing on him with this thing. And it got to the point pretty much where obviously they disqualified Bram, and Jeff Hardy, or Willow, the Wisp, ends up winning this match via DQ. Bram was just there the whole time like, yes, more, like blood. Like, he was so happy that Magnus was returning back to his roots, to this super supreme tough guy that he once was, and that segment pretty much comes to an end. So after that, we have our third segment in the back with the Wolves actually sitting down on MVP's couch waiting for MVP. MVP's like, what are you guys doing here? And the Wolves try to step up to him, and MVP goes, you know what? I'm going to put you guys in a match against each other tonight. That seems to be the theme for tonight, by the way. MVP's just making it like all the good guys fight each other. So he tells them, if you don't fight each other, you're going to lose your tag team belts. I'll end up giving it back to Bromans. So that segment ends quickly. Before they actually end up fighting, we have what I like to call a throwaway segment, but it actually led up to something later on in the evening. Ken Anderson is dressed as a cowboy, imitating James Storm, as he just walks into somewhere in the back, whatever. So that happened. So our second match of the evening is Eddie Edwards versus Davey Richards. So this match was pretty neat. And of course, as you can expect from a tag team, they don't really fight in the sense that they brutalize each other like you would normally see in a match. They're very technical with their match, a lot of pins, a lot of submission holds. But it was still really fun. It was very fast paced. Kenny King actually is outside in the arena, and he's telling them, on the microphone that you guys better like fight each other for real, because if you don't, you're gonna end up getting stripped of your belts. So they step it up a notch a little more. They still don't really throw punches or kicks at each other like the Wolves are known for doing. But Kenny King goes, hey, I want to see some teeth. Like I want to see some fangs. Like you guys are the Wolves. Like really fight. So actually, Eddie Edwards ends up getting the pinfall victory on Davey, and after that, Kenny King goes in there and goes, you know what? No, 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 no. This is not going to end this way. You guys are supposed to be the best. You guys are supposed to be ruthless. I didn't see a damn kick. I didn't see a punch thrown this whole match. So of course, as we all knew was going to happen, they end up double teaming Kenny King, and they toss him in the air as the other one does that kick on the side of his chest. So the crowd was really hot for that. That segment finishes. We are now moving on. So, and there's a backstage segment where Dixie confronts MVP, telling him, "What do you think you're doing, making Samoa Joe and Austin Aries fight each other? Like, this is the way you want to run a company?" So Dixie's pretty much playing the role of the good guy now, and MVP goes, I'm the one that's a wrestler. I'm the one that knows what's going on in the ring, not you. Why don't you sit back and drink some Merlot or something?" MVP leaves, and pretty much Dixie just agrees and goes about her business. After that happens, we have another segment with Madison Rayne getting ready in the back for her match against Angelina Love for the Knockouts title, and she pretty much tells Brittany, "Hey, don't get involved in my match tonight. You're a distraction. I need you to just chill." You know what I mean? So as she leaves the locker room, the camera focuses on Brittany. Brittany having this vicious look on her face, like, "All right, you want to play games? We'll play." So that happens. After that, we have, which I thought was pretty much the funniest part of the show, where bromans are having a backstage segment where they're actually looking at OK Cupid, or at least that's what it was led up to be believed, because they're just like swiping left and right on their phone, like, "Oh, she's hot, yeah, swipe to the right," and then they're saying that they've already got like 2,000 likes within the hour. So they're advertising a dating app on TNA, which I thought was pretty funny. After that happens, Robbie E starts freaking out because of the menagerie, and Crazy Steve, their clown, he apparently exposes his fear to clowns, and it's like, you know what, I don't like this guy. It's like he freaks me out. So after that happens, we have a backstage segment where Aries confronts Joe, and he tells him, "I'm gonna do what I have to do tonight to keep my job. You left and I stood. Well, I was sent home because, I saw what MVP was from the beginning." They mutually agreed among each other that they were going to give it their all tonight, and that segment ends up finishing. So after that, we have a segment where the bromans are in the ring, and the menagerie come out and interrupt them. It's pretty much just the Freak. He comes out and grabs I forgot which one of the ones oh yeah, he actually grabbed DJZ Ion, and he was just pressing him. He's just lifting him back and forth, and the menagerie gets the better of bromance, and they end up just beating them up pretty much. After that segment finishes, we have another segment where Gunner and Shaw are playing cards in the insane asylum or padded room somewhere in the back, whatever you want to call it. So Gunner's still pretty much trying to reform him. We have our third match of the night, which is Austin Aries versus Samoa Joe for their TNA contract. This, of course, was a pretty good match. You have two seasoned veterans in TNA giving it their all. A lot of back and forth action. They didn't like hold back at all. They were just going in on each other, which was great. The match does get interrupted when Eric Young and Bully Ray come out and stop the referee. The referee is arguing with them, saying, "I have a family to feed. Like, get out of my face." I've never seen a referee argue so much in my life. I thought it was great because it gives character to them as well. It makes them feel like they're more a part of the story as well. So Bully Ray pretty much goes, "I'm sorry," and he like knocks Hedner. And after that, they end up stopping the match. MVP with his crew, they come out and they're like, hey, what do you think you're doing? You can't just stop this. We're going to have a match. So Bully Ray takes the mic and cuts a strong promo on them, telling them that they've lost their way and the MVP is ruining wrestling. MVP, of course, looking surprised. It's like, okay, interesting. So Bully Ray goes, you know what? If you're a real man, why don't you have your team fight my team in a first blood match tonight? And of course, the crowd gets really hot for it because the first blood match is not something you see often anymore in the world of wrestling. So it was pretty refreshing knowing that we were going to see this. Of course, the fourth man for money, power, and respect was none other than Ethan Carter III. It made sense because he's the only one that was on their side. Um, After that happened, we had cut to a commercial break. Coming back, Anderson comes out dressed as a cowboy, making fun of James Storm. James Storm comes out in response to him, telling him what kind of man befriends someone, drinks beer with them, or pretends to drink beer, and then proceeds to beat them up. And then he was pretty much just stating that Ken Anderson was being unfair and whatnot. So the two go and start brawling. Storm ends up getting the better of the brawl. He ends up throwing a super kick, hitting him with a super kick in the face. After that, he tells him, you know what, we're going to fight in Slammiversary. So that match has now been set officially. After that, we cut to our fourth match of the evening, which was Angelina Love versus Madison Rayne for the TNA Knockouts Championship. Pretty decent match. It was short, but it was a good showing from both ladies. They're just such talented athletes. In Angelina's corner, of course, you had Velvet Sky and you had Brittany in Madison Rayne's corner. Um, of course, there's going to be a degree of shenanigans in this match, and that's exactly what ends up happening. After Madison Rayne was getting the upper hand, Velvet Sky ends up spraying her in the face, allowing Angelina to gain the victory. We had a post-match segment after that with Madison Rayne telling her, "Hey, why didn't you help me?" And Brittany goes, "Hey, you told me to stay out of this, so that's exactly what I did." And of course, Madison Rayne just walks away pissed off. Can you blame her? You kind of did tell her not to get involved, right? But anyway, I digress. So after a commercial break, we come back to what is our main event of the evening, which consists of Bully Ray, Austin Aries, Eric Young, and Samoa Joe versus MVP, Kenny King, Bobby Lashley, and EC3 in a first blood match. So that's exciting. I'm like, all right, I'm down. And of course, they gave this match a decent amount of time. They gave it a good, 18 plus minutes around there. Great match. Just so much back and forth action. These guys are so talented. You have top tier wrestlers having an amazing match. And what was interesting enough was that all the good guys were former or present champions, which on the other side of the bad guys, none of them were really champ. Although I think at some point Bobby Lashley won the title. Correct me if I'm wrong. I probably am wrong. But anyway, a lot of back and forth action. This match concludes when Bully Ray grabs his chain, he wraps it around his fist, and he punches Ethan Carter III in the face, allowing the blood to spew out of his forehead, gaining them the victory. Of course, this doesn't sit well with money, power, respect. As the good guys, they're in the ring celebrating, holding their hands up in victory because they own the night pretty much. We cut to a backstage segment where money, power, and respect are giving EC3 an ass whooping for being the one to lose the match. Dixie comes out to defend her nephew. This actually, I liked the end of this show only because I'm not a fan of Dixie Carter, but I felt that given the circumstances and what was going on, this came out really good. And she pretty much goes, that is my blood running through those veins, and you can't do this. There's a difference between being personal and being professional. So MVP pretty much tells her, no battle is won without blood being spilled. And then Dixie looks at him straight in his eye and goes, well then, get ready to bleed. And after that, our show concludes. So that was TNA Impact. Like I said, it was a decent show overall. It wasn't great, but I did like it overall. It had a strong main event, had a strong opening. Just good show overall. I'm gonna give it a thumbs up and a half, maybe. You know what I mean? Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Last week when I did my other review on Impact Wrestling, I got a phenomenal amount of views on it, and I was shocked. And I thank you so much for your support. I am, of course, the Wizard 411. You can catch me on my Twitter handle, which is at the Wizard 411. That is also my Instagram. So please feel free to comment, like, share, subscribe, you know, do the damn thing, help me out. There's still no Bobby Roode. What's going on? I really want your opinion on this. What's going on with Bobby Roode? What is the stage of Impact Wrestling? Are you going to be at the New York tapings? I'm sure going to be there. If any of you are there and you see me, feel free to say hi. Let's have a conversation. But anyway, you guys have been great. Thank you so much again. And if you weren't sure about what happened in this show, now you are. You guys are awesome, and don't ever let anyone tell you different.